Good afternoon, everyone. We're watching this beautiful elephant bull moving through the thicket away from us now. He was out in front of us, but he seems a little bit camera shy. It's a wonderful cloudy afternoon. Looks like we might get some rain. And this is Safari Live.
Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Hello everyone, and welcome again to another episode of Safari Live on our Sunset Safari. My name is Byron, and with me on camera this afternoon is Gert. He's making a return, which is great. It's great to have him back. And on the other vehicle we've got Jamie and Gendre with her this afternoon, and then out on Bushwalk is Stef again with VM. And it is a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Looks like we might get some rain. Oh, I don't want to forget the ladies in the final control, obviously. Rebecca and Jerry, they'll be the voices in my head this afternoon. And look at that cloud cover. It does look like a bit of rain. The temperature was still quite high. It was in the mid-30s, so about 34 to 36 degrees Celsius, which is around 96 degrees. Dropping, or the temperature seems to be dropping with this cloud that we have got around at the moment. Now, that beautiful elephant bull did show itself briefly, but it's moved off through the thicket. But I would like to look for a leopard this afternoon, and I'll tell you why. This must have been about 2 o'clock, and we were sitting around camp, and VM actually heard some Impala alarm calling, so him and I went to go and investigate, and we quickly jumped in a vehicle, drove out, and it looked like we managed to find Karula walking past, not far from the camp. So I'm heading towards the Gallagher waterhole, and perhaps we're lucky and she went to go and have a drink, and maybe she's lying in that area. So that is going to be very exciting. Don't forget, everyone, we are completely live. So what we are seeing, you are seeing with a slight delay, but exactly or almost exactly the same time back home. Don't forget, you can send us your questions on Twitter at #SafariLive. Otherwise, email us with questions at WildEarthTV, and we'll gladly answer questions, and we love your comments. So I'm going to continue my search for Karula this afternoon. Hopefully we get lucky. While I do that, let's head over to Jamie so she can say good afternoon.
And a very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to the actual Sunset Safari. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon, what time of the day is it? This afternoon I have Gendre on camera with me. The camera very carefully wrapped up in its rain cover to help to keep it dry. Now, Byron's already touched upon the weather, and if you were watching the pre-show you would know that I was doing some serious debating with myself, Gendre, and the weather as to whether or not we can go all the way to Cheetah Plains. Whether we should risk it. Ha ha ha. I think we should. I think we're going to. It's only the odd droplet. It's nothing major yet. I'm not entirely sure which direction this front is moving in. There are stories of predictions of 100 mils of rain in one go over the weekend, which could be very interesting. It's something that I've experienced many times in the bush, and essentially everything shuts down. You can't get out, the roads are blocked, the roads are shut, you can't get out, rooms have a tendency to flood. We've bought a whole load of sandbags in town today in order to fill them up. Ooh, Gendre, we're playing with fire here. You like fire? Well, we're playing with rain, but like swimming. Okay, we might end up swimming. Possibly all the way to Mozambique if we wreck the equipment. Oh. Hello, Waterbuck. What do you think is going to happen with the weather? for our new viewers who are perhaps joining us for the first time, this is one slightly nervous Waterbuck. And she's very nervous at the moment because the wind is howling. Particular waterhole, because the water levels are quite low. It doesn't afford much in the way of a good view of the surroundings. So she doesn't really have any vegetation to cover herself, so she feels very, very vulnerable when she's standing at the water's edge. And that's why we can sit with Waterbuck generally for as long as we like. They look at us placidly and blink. But that's why she got up and ran off when we arrived. So she's just feeling a little bit nervous on a day like today, and for good reason. As Byron said, Karula was moving about the area. Not that Karula would most likely take on a Waterbuck that size, but the predators are moving. We've got to go. The longer we delay, the bigger the chance they're going to have moved. They might go into Mala, they might go into Kruger, but it's worth the risk, isn't it?
Yep.
It is worth the risk. It's worth the risk. And the sky smells like rain. What a beautiful afternoon to be out. And on the bright side, the sky is much lighter that way than it is this. Whoa. Poor sandpiper looked as though it was being blown completely off course, out of control. It's a type of bird, and I think it's just taken off and it's being gusted about. Okay, let's do this. Enough indecision. Enough indecision. We're going to go. We're going to try out the Great Plains of the Cheetah. And while we do that, Stef is out on foot. Let's go and hear from him what he thinks the weather's going to do.
And good afternoon and welcome to the Bushwalk of this afternoon's safari experience. And you are pretty much at the eye level that Karula was about an hour ago, only about an hour ago. For those of you just joining us, Karula is a female leopard, a very well-known female leopard to this area. She is a mature female leopard that has been holding over this territory for a number of years right now. And right here is her footprint. I'm going to circle it for you. The light is a bit flat at the moment, so it's going to make making out any distinguishing features a little bit difficult, but I'll try my best. Here we have the back of the pad there, and the 4 toes. 1, 2, 3, 4 toes there. That is about as fresh as you can get a leopard track that's not attached to a
This morning's baby impala was absolutely adorable. It was jumping all over the place, it was stotting. The young males were interested in it, they were coming up to have a sniff, see what this was all about. This funny little tiny impala. Remember how the last time when we stopped and looked at an impala ewe while she was alarm calling, we actually had a chance to see the baby kick, see the fetus kick inside of her. Absolutely mind-boggling. I do find it truly incredible that in the space of about 5.5, 6 months, these antelope are capable of creating a little baby that is born ready to run, ready to jump. It takes it a couple of minutes to get onto its feet for the very first time. Equipped with the instincts, the knowledge when to run, to follow the herd. It's truly phenomenal. They are, as you can see, not too concerned, but looking off to across the road into Cheetah. I'll go and show you why it is they're looking across the road into Cheetah. Oh, goodness. Sorry, the rain covers make controlling things a little bit more tricky. There we go. I think they're looking at a herd of kudu. They are looking at a herd of kudu. Here we go. Another much taller and very elegant antelope that looks as though somebody dripped wet white paint down its back. Hello, girl. I love that quick movement with the tongue. I've noticed particularly with kudu, they always do one nostril and then the next nostril. Just a quick clean. Now, unlike the impala, they don't have a strict breeding season, although we will see more and more pregnant impala over the coming months, because of course there is a peak in terms of the breeding season, or in terms of when they give birth, and it makes sense that that peak would fall at a time when their resources would be most abundant, which is now during our rainy season. Sorry, I also have to just listen to these comms. Ah, Trevor. Trevor would like to know who won the competition for the first baby impala. Chandra, would you like to tell Trevor who won the competition for the first baby impala? Safari Live. You did. The first baby impala was seen on the day that you said.
Oh.
Yes.
Have you seen that? Yes.
Yes.
Right, sorry,
No, it wasn't you who put them on camera. Oh, did no one get it right? Oh, it was the day between. Yes, yours was the Woodlands Kingfisher you won. Okay. Sorry, my apologies. Sorry, Trevor. It was in between 2 days. It was between Gendre and... Sorry, hold on a second. What is happening here? I know, I'm trying to... Oh, is he saying come? Cool. We might be in for a surprise, you know. I wonder what's happening here. Oh, goodness. Yes, that was a surprise. I will say that was a... Hold on. This is not what I was expecting. Oh, it's a big Ellie bull. There we go. There. Oh, wow. Hello, gorgeous. Oh, I love these big Ellie bulls. Sorry, it's going to be a tricky one. Yes, that's going to be a little bit tricky, but I'm going to go back a little bit. Sorry, we're going to have to put up with this view for now. It is across our traverse area, so we can't go there. Look at this magnificent giant of an animal. I wonder if this is the same elephant that Brent had a couple of days ago. We saw two enormous ones. Oh, now there's lightning as well, Gendre. We saw two enormous elephant bulls not too long ago, and now the true kings of the bush. Sorry, I'm in a pile up here. There's a vehicle coming behind me. Oh. How's it, Peter? How are you? Good, thank you. Oh, that's stunning. Sorry? Yeah. Oh, I think I'll go and have a look and see if I can find them.
Gala is still south of Deckerton, eh?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The Nkumas haven't come back onto our side. We've just got one Birmingham. Yeah.
When you dive into the big swimming pool to that side?
I know, I'm starting to wonder. I'm going to go all the way to Cheetah Plains and have to hide somewhere. Cheers. Sorry, everybody. Just chatting to one of the fellow guides and getting his feedback on what's happening. Isn't this magnificent elephant bull thoroughly good company, though? We don't often get to see the really big bulls. They come in from Kruger, but we don't. They don't spend all that much time on our side. So when we do see these giants, it's an absolute treat. Hey, big boy. And they're such wonderful elephants because they are completely secure. They're completely secure in themselves and the fact that they are the biggest creatures in the bush. There's absolutely nothing out here that will harm a massive bull elephant in his prime. And they know it, and as a result they're actually generally incredibly tolerant and very comfortable in the presence of vehicles and of people. They've got this amazing walk as well. Slow, gentle swagger. Stopping to feed. Oh, look at that. He's moving the dead trees away with an incredible show of strength so that he can get to the grasses underneath it. Sorry, everybody. I can't reach the volume control. Just bear with me. There we go. That's better. Okay, I'm sorry. I think that we should go. I think we should go and come back. I'm starting to worry. I'm actually genuinely a little bit concerned about this weather. So we're going to start racing through to Cheetah Plains. This bull is absolutely lovely. And I would love to spend more time with him, but we're going to start running out of time here. So while we race off towards Cheetah Plains, let's go over to Byron for an update on his afternoon.
So I'm driving very, very slowly in this area at the moment where I think Karula is. I did see tracks of her. She did go straight towards Gallagher Waterhole. She had a little drink there and then moved on. It looked like she carried on further north, but there are a lot of thick drainage lines in this area and it's perfect for a leopard to hide. Now the thing is, this weather at the moment is not really in our favor. It's very, very windy. So we might not necessarily see too many other animals moving around, and you can see, look at all the trees at the moment in this wind. But it's actually ideal conditions for leopards to hunt. So leopards, because they're ambush predators, if they are moving through a thick area, with this wind blowing so much, it makes it difficult for the prey species, so any antelope species, to smell the leopard perhaps and probably hear them. And it will be favorable conditions for a leopard to hunt. Also in the rain, if it does start drizzling, often you'll find after rains you might find some leopards that have got a kill. Wow, look at this beautiful waterbuck just off to our left. Oh, look at that. Nice big waterbuck bull. Actually a lovely pose just behind that log. He's probably keeping an eye out for any potential predators. Jackie J, you'd like to know if the waterbuck have a specific birthing season. So Jackie, I've seen, to be honest, I've seen youngsters, waterbuck youngsters through most parts of the year. I don't think there's a specific season. I'm just going to double check for you quickly, and just double check myself and make sure I'm not incorrect. But wow, listen to that wind, everyone. Isn't that incredible? Very, very windy. That's a beautiful, beautiful bull. Yeah, so Jackie J, I'm right. I have seen waterbuck youngsters or calves throughout the year. But generally it's in summer, so it would be any time in summer, just because the amount of food and water around is beneficial for the females when they are feeding the youngsters, and possibly helps when they have got youngsters to hide them in thickets when the bush is a bit thicker in the summer after the rainfall. But they can give birth throughout the year. They don't have a specific season, like the impala or the wildebeest. That's a beautiful male. The females don't have horns, and if he does turn around, you'll see that very prominent white ring around the rump, so very easy to identify the waterbuck. And they look very shaggy, don't they? They've got, looks like they've got thick coats, and they do. And they do rely on water a lot. I have read that the waterbuck, one of the few antelope that may suffer from dehydration if they don't get a lot of water. And you could actually just see lower down again, sorry, on the belly where you were. Look at that hair blowing in the wind. So you can tell it's very, very windy at the moment. And you can see more of that shaggy coat. So because they're so reliant on water, they're often around water holes, and one of the defense mechanisms of the waterbuck is they'll run straight into the water to get away from predators. And they do have quite an oily skin, and that helps to allow the water to run off and not soak into that thick coat and bog them down too much. I actually saw some images a few days ago. Somebody had photographed a few waterbuck all standing in a pan of water, in a little, not quite a mud wallow, in a pan, and there were wild dog that had been chasing them, and they was all standing around the edge of the water trying to get to the waterbuck, but they were standing safely in the water. And I have seen wild dog actually run straight through the water when they are chasing any antelopes. And little green teapot, you say it's fascinating how the antelope all have different horns, and it is, and it's a nice way to identify them because all the horns are slightly different. Some are very different compared to the others. If you think this waterbuck has these beautiful curved horns, which curve around, and if you think of a kudu, for example, that have those very long spiral horns. Look almost like corkscrews compared to these waterbucks. So yeah, it is very interesting to see the different horn shapes and sizes in the many different antelope species that we get around here. I can feel the temperatures dropping even more now with the wind picking up. I just, you know what, I don't know if it's going to rain. I'm just having a look. Maybe later tonight, but I don't know. There's some ominous clouds building, and it's you can actually smell the humidity or the moisture in the air. So I'm hoping it does rain, but we will see. We'll see. Let us continue our search for Karula, the elusive Karula. Trevor, you asked about the waterbuck when they are killed or when they die. Do they release a lot of that? I wonder if it's the oil that you're thinking of in the skin. To be honest, Trevor, I've heard and read many different theories on that. Some people, and the myth is, or there is a myth that people have come up with, and they say lions, for example, won't hunt waterbuck, or predators won't hunt waterbuck because they don't like the taste of the meat. That is an utter myth. That is not true at all. Lions, leopards, they'll definitely hunt waterbuck if they get the opportunity, and they will feed on them. The Nkahuma Pride killed a waterbuck not too long ago, I think a week or two ago, So apparently the oil is quite strong, and you can sometimes smell a waterbuck if they run in front of you. They've got quite a pungent smell, but I don't think it's a case of them releasing it before they die. I think it's just in the skin in general, but predators still feed on them. Okay, so I'm going to carry on searching very carefully around this area. Stef is still on foot. Let's head to him and see what he's found and what he's up to.
Yeah, those waterbuck that Byron was talking about do actually have quite a pungent smell, and it's actually created the folklore that lions don't even like to eat waterbuck, and that their meat is distasteful and that we can't eat it. But it's actually just got to do with a bunch of glands in their skin, and as you strip away the skin, if you're careful not to let the oil that comes out of their skin onto the meat, you can actually eat it. Waterbuck tastes okay, and I've never seen lions complain too much about it. Talking about lions, we've got a lion of the spider world, actually more of a cheetah of the spider world actually. This is the nest of a grass spider, and inside this nest is a female grass spider. I'm going to try and tickle her out here. It's very windy at the moment, so excuse the shaky camera. There's the grass spider. These little nomadic spiders set up, there we go, quite camouflaged, but you can't see her. These little grass spiders in the center of your screen, on the right, left-hand side center, that very camouflaged little piece of dust that's got 8 legs, that's the spider. Now these are semi-nomadic. They set up their webs temporarily in bushes and branches and pieces of dung all over the place, and they run out and grab insects that come past at a speed that is unbelievable. They were for a long time considered the fastest spiders in the world in the Guinness Book of Records. Since then they have been eclipsed by other spiders and more advanced methods of measuring speed, but for a long time these spiders were considered the fastest spiders in the arachnid world. Just a little trivial piece of information there. I don't know too much else about these spiders other than that they have their egg sacs in the bottom of these little webs, and they like to eat termites. Oh, that's spectacular. I've fallen backwards and put my hand into that dung and urine patch of a female impala, and can smell from the urine that they're probably a couple of days away from giving birth. Yeah, don't know how, but a couple. Stop joking around and go and climb off of this hill. We are being blown to pieces here. Must be, and big ears like mine collect all the wind and make it virtually impossible for me to hear what's going on around over here. So excuse me, from time to time you'll see me touching my head over here just to press this earpiece that I have sort of to the center of my skull, right close to where my auditory nerve is. I can actually hear past the cacophony that my radar dishes tend to generate in wind like this. Let's see, this is a blown down knobthorn, and usually around this time of the year you can actually find some interesting things in these guys. You just got to be willing to sort of stick your head into these bushes and see what you can find. Now, believe it or not, this tree is actually still alive and will continue to grow. It is a combretum. The leadwood is a combretum in Burby. And we know from looking at all the variable bush willows out here and the russet bush willows that they actually do okay when they're knocked over. As long as there's 1 or 2 roots in the ground, they'll actually keep on growing and will eventually sort of right themselves. They'll have a couple of sticks that sort of turn to go upwards again and grow up back into the sky, leaving these side branches again in the shade and creating a refuge underneath them. Oh, here we go. I knew we'd eventually find something. Let me just make sure that these bugs are not going to... Oh, there we go. So then I catapulted it off into the distance. So they're hiding away from the wind inside there. I'll see what type of... Looks like a beetle from where we're standing right now, but I'm going to show you how we know if it's a beetle or a bug. So a coleoptrid or a hemipterid. So let's take it catch it carefully. And what we're going to do is look at its mouth parts. And you can see that its mouth parts are definitely not made for piercing and sucking, which means that this is a beetle of some sort and not a bug. If it was a bug, it would have a mouth part that is distinctly shaped for piercing and sucking. And this is quite obviously mandibled. There we go. Let's put him back on his branch. Thank you very much for helping us with our insect physiology lesson there. And as you can see, back on the branch and quite comfortable. Except for his friend that I sent him to outer space when the branch died. Right, why don't we go and see what Byron's up to?
And look what we found, some zebra. Isn't this wonderful? And tails always swishing around on the zebra. There's a few of them, yeah. There's at least 5 or 6. Some have crossed the road and that we're on at the moment and headed off left. We can't see them at the moment, but at least we can see these 2 beautiful zebra right here. And if we're lucky, they may decide to walk in front of us and look at them enjoying the green grass that's around at the moment. I'm sure they are very, very thankful for all the rains that we've had. Turned the bush into this lush, or got this lush vegetation growing at the moment, which is wonderful. But as we say, we do need a lot more rain, so we're hoping, even with these clouds building, hoping to get some rain soon. More rain. A wonderful dazzle of zebra. That one looks quite plump. Look at that. I wonder if that female isn't perhaps pregnant. I must admit, it does look like it to me. I think that female might be pregnant. It would be wonderful to see some zebra foals running around. Also don't necessarily have a breeding season, but in summer you do get a lot more young being born, and again because of the food and water availability. But also, zebra tend to have very plump bodies, and they are known as hindgut fermenters. So their digestive system is very different to antelope. They don't have the 4-chambered stomach like ruminants do. Their hindgut fermenters are basically bulk feeders. So they feed on a lot of food, but what happens is the zebra actually build up a lot of gas inside their body, and it causes them to bloat quite a lot. So even though they look quite plump, and most of those bellies look very, very plump, it's purely because of the gases that build up inside their body. So it's not usually a sign that they're big and healthy. It just means that they've been eating a little bit and the bodies have swollen. Usually the best way to tell if the zebra are healthy, if you look at that mane on their necks, if that's upright and flowing beautifully. Oh, we get them running across the road. There they go. Oh, wonderful. As they do, they just had some thunder above us. So as I was saying, with the manes on the back of their necks, if they're standing upright, and that's usually a good sign that those zebra are in good condition and healthy. Those looked healthy, and again, with all this green grass around at the moment, they seem very, very happy. Can you hear that thunder above us? Rolling thunder through the bush. That's lovely. I get very excited when I think it's going to rain, because I love the rain, especially out in the bush. And I remember working at a lodge. When I worked permanently at a lodge, we would wait for the first rains of the summer. And, you know, everything's building up to it. You get these clouds building and the heat, and it starts, I mean, everybody gets very excited. And I remember one night we were sitting around and it started to rain and the heavens opened. And all of us were so happy and so excited. We just ended up standing and dancing in the rain, a whole bunch of us. It was great. There's something about these summer rains in the bush that are just incredible, and it brings a bit of a relief almost, you know. It just settles all the dust, and you can just feel that new growth is going to happen soon, new energy. It's wonderful. So I still have had no sign or no further sign of Karula. I think she's hiding in one of those drainage lines not far from the Galago camp, to be honest. Oh, now, speaking of this ominous sounds of the thunder and these clouds and the scary rains, Stef has got something scary he'd like to show you.
Relax, dude. Relax. Yes, so he can bend his head, eh? We found on that tree. Have a look at this monster of a beetle. This is a wood-boring beetle, and have a look at those mandibles. These beetles have probably the most robust mandibles of any of the beetles out here. And if I let him go for 1 second, he is going to bite me. So I almost want to almost just show you quickly and then put him back on his tree stump. Just have a look at his eyes there, everybody. That dark horseshoe shaped thing just behind the antennae there, that is his eye. These guys eat wood and bore through wood and live in these trees and live on what they can find. Just look at that. So this is a prime example of a beetle. They've got the most fantastic feet. Have a look at those claws. They catch on everything. And I'm going to see if I can put him back where we found him, underneath here. So we found him there. Let's put him back. No harm done. He's probably as angry as a snake who can find me later on tonight and, I don't know, scalp me or something. Across these beetles. Come, let's go and have a look for some more fun things here. I must say, we've heard a little bit of thunder, and it would be interesting to see if you could get Byron to actually do his rain dance. I think it'll be quite something classic to see. Oh, we're looking forward to the rain out here, everybody. I must be honest with you, there's oh, look at this. We've got a tree that is festooned with drop-tail ants. Now these ants are quite gregarious, and they are also aphid farming ants. So these ants farm aphids, keeping ladybirds away from the aphids, and then they come and tickle the aphid, which appeases the ant with a drop of honeydew, which the ants then greedily sort of suck up. You can see why they're called drop-tail ants, if I can find one. Can you see one, Vim?
Yeah.
Is that their tail is dropped underneath their body and curled in underneath their body. The drop-tail ant. You find them all over the place here. And they're pretty much all over this whole tree. Another rolling peal of thunder. Like I said, I think everything out here is just, apart from not wanting to get wet, I think everybody is just really wishing that this rain finally comes and we have a bit of a deluge. We're needing probably about, I don't know, before Christmas, probably another 200 millimeters of rain or so. Now Jordan, you've asked me to show you some of the grasses that we have on the walk. Absolutely, Jordan. As soon as the grasses start to come out, I'll show you. I quite enjoy looking at grasses, and in particular their inflorescences or their flowering parts. This particular grass is one of those real hardcore grasses that don't really have a smell. This is the Eragrostis gummiflua, or the gum grass, and when it is full grown and in its prime, have a look at this, Viam. Look here. We've just chased the praying mantis out of this grass. Have a look here. There. This is a grass-living praying mantis right there. We've just chased him out of this patch of grass, and just have a look at the body structure on this guy. Very fast running. In actual fact, he looks like he's trying to imitate a tiger beetle. They've also got these fat abdomens. I think that's exactly what he's trying to do. Probably find he catches them. Let's see if he'll be coaxed onto my finger. No, way too clever for that. Oh, there we go. Just look at that. Let me see if I can turn him slightly so you can get a profile picture of him. There we go. Wow, I've never seen one of these before. I don't think he's a youngster. Youngsters tend to curl their abdomens up underneath them. I think this is full grown. I think we've chased him out of a hunting haunt here when we bent down to show the grass. Let's bring him up a little bit. Oh, no, he parachuted off of my finger and he's gone back to his grass stem inside there. There he is over there. There we go. Oh, just look at that. Fantastic work, VM. I mean, even their eyeballs are camouflaged. Well, they have a collection of eyes, not really eyeballs. They've got like a multi-screen display, if I could put it to you that way. So because they couldn't fit all the muscle attachments needed for an enormous eyeball into one head, what insects do is they've developed a compound eye, or evolved a compound eye, which is many eyes across a wide sphere, all generating one picture. So you can have a very wide field of view. You obviously can't have lenses that can change shape, and so it gives you focused vision, but they in their sphere can pick out the most amazing detail and generate an incredibly wide sense of view. It's almost like putting on a 360-degree helmet, you know, those virtual reality sets that you get where you can look everywhere. That's pretty much what a praying mantis sees, and some flies and many insects in actual fact. Quite interesting concept, eh? Right, it has started to rain a little bit where we are, so I think what we're going to do is make a sort of slow loop back to base camp and where we've got the tent set up for you. So we're just going to sort of get away from where we are now and move backwards towards the tent and see if we can join you from there. But there's still a few more moments that we have. Don't worry yourself about that too much. Let's see what we can find in here. It's one of those variable bush willows we were talking about, and a square-stemmed raisin. You never really find these trees getting very big. The elephants absolutely love them, and they move into these thickets and break the sticks off with great relish. And so it's rare to find a square-stemmed raisin with a diameter stick like this. This is about as big as what you find them here. Every now and again, find one a little bit bigger. Let me put my thumb there, give you some reference points. That's about as thick as you find the square-stemmed raisin. That's just an amazing, see, you can see the square stem there. All right, I'm going to send you over to Byron, and we'll probably catch up with you from the tent.
So it appears as if this rain is approaching us now, getting a few drops. There's a beautiful herd of impala just ahead of us through there now. I'd like to see if there's perhaps a little lamb around. I must be honest, everyone, I think if it does rain, I do think that that we may have a few more births. And I mean, I don't know how much control these females have over the births. There is the myth that they are able to withhold the birth, but that's not true. That is not true at all. The impala lamb will come when it's ready to come. So I'm just going to have a look around and see if there are any impala lambs around. After the rains, they do tend to give birth, and I think because what happens is the rains mask the smell of the afterbirth and that, so it can help them. But again, it all depends. I mean, and these females are all ready to pop very, very soon, I think, ready to give birth. Alright, I'm going to carry on to having a look around, but Jamie has got something exciting on Cheetah Play and she'd like to show you.
Have we lost comms again?
Let's have a look here. Oh no, there might be some comms issues again, unfortunately. I'm sorry everyone, and what does happen is, obviously with some of this weather now, it doesn't make it any much easier. Let's just have a look. I'm still having a look at all these impalas around, but I see another antelope through the back, and you'll see it's a bit darker. It's a young male Nyala, and there it is, just moving off through the thicket, just behind the impala. Oh, it looks like the rain is, and there's a male impala to the right with the young male Nyala. Try to say that 5 times fast. You might be able to hear some of the rain at the moment, a few drops hitting us. We have got our rain covers on, but hopefully we don't get wet. That would not be great. I mean, it'll be alright. We won't, nothing will happen to us, we'll just get wet. I wonder if it's going to rain hard enough that we need to head back to the tent. That could be interesting. I haven't been in the tent yet, so it could be interesting. So no impala lambs here, everyone. I've had a look, but there doesn't seem to be any lambs around at the moment. Let's head back to Jamie. Hopefully the comms are working now again.
And we have got the most amazing surprise for all of you. Oh, it's not the cheetah. It's not what we were expecting at all. And unfortunately, we're having to communicate. We're having radio problems, so we're having to communicate via mobile phone. But just look at the gorgeous new Styx cubs. Our very first sighting of them. And my rain cover just flew into my head. I'm sorry, that was the noise. Just look how gorgeous they are. Weren't they worth every acceleration, every bump? The fact that we are getting slightly drenched. Oh, babies, aren't you just too gorgeous for words? After all we've seen the Styx cubs go through, the last generation of Styx cubs, to see these 2 teddy bear little cubs looking so fat and healthy and happy. Hi, little ones. Welcome to the world. Just a few weeks old. They've only recently been introduced to the pride, apparently. To see them is a joy indeed. And I'm sure you're all incredibly excited to be seeing them. I know I am. It wasn't what I was expecting at all. It wasn't what we were rushing over here for. But what a treat this has been. Now, this particular female is a little bit skittish around vehicles, so we're going to keep our distance, and this will be the view that we have of them for now. But I think you'll all agree that this afternoon has taken a lovely turn, if a somewhat damp one. Now, we are going to only be able to spend a few minutes with them. There's only 2 vehicles allowed in the sighting, so we're going to have to pull out in the not too distant future to make room for other vehicles. And unfortunately, we are being quite thoroughly, excuse me, rained upon. I'm just going to pop my rain jacket on. Sorry, you're going to hear some rustling. I'm just trying to keep my microphone dry. Oh, gorgeous. I'm so thrilled. I'm so happy for the Styx. For those of you that perhaps have just joined our live safaris and you haven't met the Styx before, they very sadly lost their last litter of cubs to mange, to a serious, very serious mange infection. One of them was killed by a herd of elephants. The other 7, most of them, it seems most likely that they were killed by the mange that they contracted. Oh, so lovely. This was worth it, wasn't it, Chandra? Tucking into their milk breakfast, they're still far too young to even be thinking about meat. And it's hard to believe that our Nkuhuma cubs were once this size, isn't it? I'm Sweet little teddy bear faces. Too gorgeous. I'm going to spend as long as we possibly can here before we have to leave. Just eke out this moment. Look there, that's what we were waiting for. Hello. Welcome to the world, little one. James Richard, on this Thanksgiving, you say, or for all of you that are celebrating Thanksgiving, you say that this is something to be thankful for, and what a privilege it is to see these cubs. Hi, look at you. Yes, you are gorgeous. Mouthful of milk, licking its lips. Oh, look at all of that healthy fur, and already licking and cleaning its sibling. A truly gorgeous, peaceful, intimate moment that we've got to share with the Styx on this gloomy, rainy afternoon. Kathy, you want to know how old they are? They're roughly, as far as I remember, they're sort of around 6 or so weeks. They might even be slightly younger than 6 weeks old. They're still very, very tiny. They are roughly the same age as the Nkuhuma cubs when they were first introduced to the rest of the pride. Mom's still keeping them relatively separate. She has apparently introduced them to the other females. There's 2 other females in the Styx pride. So she has apparently introduced them to the rest of the pride, but I think she might have done that slightly early just because there are no other older boisterous cubs that could risk injuring them. Oh, little ones. Oh, how can that not put a massive smile on your face? Okay. How are we doing for rain there, Gendre? Are we okay? We're fine. It's just the thunder that's worrying me. Is it it must be their first, it might even be their first thunderstorm. I'm trying to think if we've had... Oh, look at the yoga. That's your leg. You biting your toes now? Doing some thorough cleaning after lunch. In between the toes. It's still so fluffy and so spotty. One big yawn from one tired mom. Well done, Mom. Good girl. Your cubs are beautiful. All right. Okay. You think we're okay?
Just your monitor.
My monitor is, yeah. Yes, absolutely. To Charlie, you say, is there any chance that with the rain and the better nutritional conditions that they're going to help them be more resistant to mange? Yes, these cubs have a much, much better chance of being safe and sound from that mange infection. They might still get it, but this rain does wonders for reducing the possibility of it spreading. It reduces the seriousness of a mange infection. Their chances are just so much higher. These little cubs have been born at exactly the right time, and the rains have come at the right time. Time to save the new cubs of the Styx pride and to save the Nkuhuma pride. We couldn't be more happy that it is pouring down. Oh, gorgeous. Okay, we have to run. We have to escape this weather. So we've had the briefest moment with the Styx cubs, but unfortunately we have to go. We have to start heading back towards Djuma. But what a pleasure this has been, and worth every step of the adventure. I'm so glad we could share this with all of you. Right, on that note, from one little Styx cub, I think it's time to send you back over to Byron and the potential father.
So no sign of a leopard yet, but another beautiful big cat. We have found one of the Birmingham males, and he's just lying out in the open under this marula tree. And he's also trying to get out of the rain, I think, perhaps. But these animals they're used to the rain, or they do adapt to the raining conditions. They don't mind it. And you can hear it's definitely raining a lot harder now. Isn't he beautiful? And if I'm not mistaken, I think this is Mfumo, the one with that had that nasty scar in the nose. And I can't believe how well it's healed. And you know, I actually mentioned it when I saw him 2-3 weeks ago. And that nasty scar was on his nose, and I said, you know, these animals and especially these big cats, have the amazing ability to heal very well. Look how well that scar has healed. You can barely see that it's still there, or that it was there. It's incredible. It really is absolutely amazing. And I've seen lionesses and leopards in the past get injured from perhaps hunting, and some serious cuts and scars, and you think, oh, I don't know if they're going to make it, but they heal very, very quickly and very, very well. As long as they try and keep cleaning the wound, it usually heals very, very quickly. So you can see it's really starting to rain quite a lot, and the wind is blowing, quite howling actually. Holding down our rain covers. It's fun though, it's fun. I was going to do my rain dance for you, but I can't now because there's a big male lion next to us. I'll have to save it for a rainy day. It's so wonderful to be able to sit with this big male, and we were so lucky yesterday evening when we had those two big male lions calling right next to the vehicle, so close to us. And I think this was one of them. I did see tracks of them heading, or at least one of them heading back in this direction from where they were last night. They headed north back towards Djuma, into the central part of Djuma. And I know this was the male that they found this morning. He was around the Djuma Dam. But I wonder what happened to Karula and where she headed off to. It doesn't look like he's interested in moving anytime soon. Very, very comfortable there. Alright everyone, this rain is getting a bit heavy now, so we're going to leave this beautiful male lion. What a lovely surprise. It was so great to find him and see him. We're going to probably start making our way back to camp, but there's somebody in the tent. Let's see what's happening there.
Yes, and we are coming to you from the tent over here, which is our sort of rain shelter. And I must be honest with you, it always gives you a bit of an exciting feel to be inside here. We've got the lights on, it's gloomy outside, the wind is starting to shake the building around a little bit. And of course, I can see on the screens over here exactly what you've been seeing. Isn't that exciting about all those Styx cubs and all this male lion that's potentially the father that Byron's got at the moment? We'll be up and running with some rain roofs in a second, and I'm sure we'll go back out there to join him today. But I just want to show you something. Come and have a look at exactly where we are and what we're doing right now. VM has managed to find us a weather map, and what you're looking at is Africa. This is Africa here. There's Cape Town, all the way up, going up all the way to Maputo. That is in Mozambique. We are a little bit across from Maputo now. I would judge there where those lines are converging at the end of my finger. That is where we are at the moment. And just have a look at where all this weather's coming from. It's all coming in from the ocean. This is Madagascar. And all these winds are pushing all this moisture in from the sea out over us. And you probably find it's carrying a lot of moisture from all the hot days over that sea. A lot of moisture would have been evaporated into the atmosphere, and now it's being carried in by these this wind and this high pressure system over here. And to where we're sitting, looking like it's fairly quiet here where we are. I mean, tough to say exactly what's going on, but isn't that just the most interesting weather map that you've seen? One of these dynamic ones that we've got going on over there. Now, the format for the tent is, generally speaking, that we sit and have a bit of a chat, and it also gives you a chance to ask me any questions that you may have in the covers or any discussions that you'd like to have. Of course, I can't show you much while it's busy pouring outside. I can't go and fetch anything and show you, and so I've literally got James's collection of things here, as macabre as what they look like. We've got this leopard skull and this dog skull above me. We've got a baboon. Here you're looking at the baboon. That is a wild dog skull. That is a leopard skull. There we've got a bunch of other skulls. Serval, honey badger, jackal. I don't know what that last one, those last two are. I think the one's a genet and the other one is something as yet to I have got to identify. But we'll be going through all of these at the moment. Don't forget, you can ask me a question using the hashtag Safari Live, and of course you can send me a question via email at questions@WildEarthTV, and we'll try and get through as much as we can while the others are getting ready to do their thing. Why don't we have a look at what I've been playing with while I've been, not only have I been playing with the weather thing, I've also been playing with my favorite rock archer. Have a look. This is the microphone feed. And have a look there at those colors. Now, track, while we're busy having a look at this refracted light from water trapped in the crystal matrix of this piece of quartz, I'll answer your question about oh, hang on, wait, let's have a look at that, and then I'll answer your question about the weather. So you're looking at the light refracted from water that is trapped inside this piece of quartz. Now, this was not from rain. This was trapped in there when this little piece of rock was made or precipitated out into whatever fissure that it did in the granite base that is the rocks underlying Djuma Private Game Reserve and this half of the Kruger National Park. And we're looking there at ancient water. Isn't it just amazing, that rainbow of colors going from the one spectrum all the way into the other? Looks like it bends slightly. I mean, I can see from blue, I can imagine I'm seeing violet in there somewhere. I can see orange and yellow and red, green. Almost all of the visible light spectrum I can see inside there. Amazing, eh? All right, so why don't I answer the question about the rainfall? Is it expected, this amount of rain? Have we had too little rain, too much rain so far? I would say that we've had pretty much an average year's rain so far. We had a week or two ago now, as far as I remember, we had about a week of rain. And in that time, we had about 25 to 35 millimeters. A month previously, we had about 25 millimeters of rain. A little bit before that, we have 5 or 10 millimeters of rain. And we're sitting at about average now for what we should get on an average year around here. We are expecting, as we go into November, towards the end of November, we're going to be getting higher rainfall and even higher rainfall into December, with our main rainfall months happening here between January and the end of March. That is when we get our highest amount of rain. The rain then sort of teepers, what I'm trying to say over here. Rain peters out in April. To the end of April, we'll see our last big rainstorm somewhere around the end of April. And then it's not uncommon for us to have rain in every single month of the year. But definitely it'll get colder with less rain as we go past May, June, July, August. In September, we may have a little bit of rain around Spring Day, which for us is on the 1st of September. Generally leading into hot, dry months, end of September into October, and our first large rains above 20 mils or so happening in October again, and then from there the gradual increase of rain throughout the year. So that's basically a pattern of our rain. We have a summer rainfall area where we are at the moment. We have normally about 400 to 600 millimeters of rain per year, and that is enough to support everything that you see around us. Everything that you see on a day-to-day basis is supported by just this much rain across this entire area. Isn't that incredible? This is lovely, really. All right. I just heard something over here. Now, grumpy old man, you've just asked me if on a bushwalk, if we had some rain falling in the area and there was lightning, lightning associated with the rain, would I be safe if I stood underneath a marula tree? Good question. There's no doubt in my mind that standing under a tree is a good way to get struck by lightning, especially if it's the tallest tree in the area. Marulas generally grow on crests of the hills out here, and they generally are the tallest things in the area. So I'm going to answer your question with a no. If the marula was on the crest of a hill, could you hide under any marula? I think you could. I think if you were next to a marula, say an odd marula that was growing on the banks of a drainage line in a dip, and it wasn't the tallest tree in that dip, I think you could get away with it. I think if it was the only tree there, I think you could. I mean, you want to stay away from earthed, tall, in particularly pointed objects during a lightning storm. I mean, it's one of the reasons why they build lightning conductors like they do. Tall, earthed and pointed, and you want to try and stay away from those ones. Now, Milpro, you've asked me if we have lightning storms in our area. Most definitely. We have very violent lightning storms here. I don't know if it's a particularly high risk lightning area. I mean, I have seen, I'll try and pull up for you in a little bit when we've got some time, that sort of lightning map of South Africa, and we're definitely not the highest we're not in an area that has the highest amount of strikes per square kilometer. That's definitely the truth, but we are just off of that, and we have quite violent storms here during this time of the year. Do we find animals lying dead on the floor, trees split in half by huge lightning bolts? Not that I've seen. The odd tree that you see that has been struck by lightning from time to time. I've never in this area of South Africa seen animals struck dead by lightning. Not even a giraffe or an elephant, or herds of animals that like to live on open areas. I haven't seen that at all. They tend to remain relatively unscathed, I suppose. One thing I would like to comment on is animals that are skinny like they are right now, animals that have got malnutrition or are very skinny and have very little fat reserves. A sudden chill like a storm brings to a place, lots of wind, lots of water, lots of rain, you do find animals dropping down dead just from the shock to their system. They don't have the fat reserves, they don't have the reserves to keep themselves warm. Shivering only does so much, and it only can do so much with a little bit of muscle mass. And it's not uncommon in the first storms of the season to find, in particular, Bushwalk I found lying dead, Waterbuck I found lying dead from this particular affliction. The state of the buffalo that we have at the moment is just another one of those animals that I would expect, if it was all of a sudden quite chilly, we'd find a few of them dead as well. Giraffe tend to remain unscathed. Now, Daniel, you've asked if this particular storm is a big storm. Yes, I suppose. We're going to see if we can show you a little bit out of the window there. That's what I can see from here. That is now where the storm is going to. That is the open patch. You can see the rain just dripping off of the covers. Let's see if we can take you out this side to the front of this particular storm and show you where it's coming from. I don't think it's particularly bad, to be quite honest with you. It's just, there's where the storm was coming from. You might get a few drops on the lens as we're busy looking at it now, but there's where the storm was coming from. You can see there's no real color change to the sky. There's no big, thick, black, dark clouds. And in actual fact, the lightning has stopped now as well. And I predict that we're probably not going to see much more from this particular storm in the near future, perhaps a little bit tonight when it gets darker and it gets cooler and the clouds drop a little bit. We might find a pickup of this particular storm, but I think we're going to need a little bit more moisture and we're going to need a little bit more heat. So let's hope that tomorrow morning is clear skies and it builds up and builds up again and gives us some decent rain. What can we expect from a rainstorm here in terms of amount of water falling? Generally here, our summer rainfall will give us between this much rain and about this much rain so about 1 inch to about 2 inches of rain per thunder shower. It's not uncommon though to have up to 100 millimeters of rain, which is about that much. And this amount of rain in this area is catastrophic. It makes everything run. I would fully expect the dams, Buffelshoek Dam, Djuma Dam, to be full if a storm had to break here at 100 mils. But on that note, Byron has his rain cover on, and I'm sure he's dying to tell you where he's going and what he's up to.
So I've got the rain cover on, but doesn't seem to be working though just yet. It's wonderful to have a bit of rain, but this might affect our game viewing quite a bit. But we'll see. You never know. You never know. I'm heading back into that area that I think Karula is in. I just want to do a few loops around there and just see, maybe she comes out because of the weather that's changed, and who knows, we could possibly get lucky. Now I need to remember that there's a roof on, so I've got to watch what trees I drive under. But you can hear that wonderful sound of the rain on the roof. So Jeff, the challenges rain can cause on a drive, for one, it is a bit harder to find animals. Animals do look for a bit of shelter, so they'll move into thicker areas, so chances of seeing a lot of animals moving around are a lot slimmer. But saying that, you might still get lucky, you might still see animals moving around, but generally in my experience it's not great conditions to drive around in for game viewing. I would say that's the only challenge, and then if you've got guests on the vehicle, they just get cold and wet, and it isn't very pleasant. But you know, we do have ponchos which we hand out to our guests, and that helps a little bit. But generally that would be the general consensus, that people decide to probably head back to the camp and wait for the rain to stop, and then go out again late on a safari, or maybe just try in the morning. And that's one thing you need to remember about going on safari in summer, is the chances of it raining are a lot higher. But it does add to the experience, and it's not always a guarantee that it's going to rain, but the chances are obviously a lot higher in summer. I remember one year I was driving a group of guests, and we were quite far away from the lodge. We must have been about a good 25 minutes or so, half an hour, and we could see this cloud building behind us and the thunder and lightning approaching. We were actually viewing lions at the time. We thought, right, we need to start making our way back to camp, because also lightning can be a potential threat and can be dangerous. Usually if there is lightning around, we'll decide to call it quits far sooner than if it's just rain, because we don't want to put anybody in any danger. And lightning can be potentially dangerous out here. And anyway, so we headed back towards the camp, and while we were driving, the heavens opened and it bucketed down. This is a light drizzle compared to what we had, and we got soaked. Everybody was trying to hide under the ponchos, because the other thing is you can't see anything while you're driving, because you've got rain hitting your face, so you really can't see anything. And everyone was crouched under their ponchos, and I was trying to drive and navigate through the bush on our way back to camp. Needless to say, we got absolutely soaked. But it was an experience, and it was a fun experience. Okay, now I'm in this area where these drainage lines are, this thicker area that I think Karula has moved into. But again, I don't know, because it's straight through here and continued out and off hunting. So I'm not sure where she could be. The other thing is, and Jeff, getting back to your question, the other thing is, with it raining, it will wash away fresh tracks. But tomorrow morning, with us being out on game drive, if we do see tracks in the sand, clear tracks, then we know they're obviously a lot fresher. So it does help us gauge how fresh tracks are after a bit of rain. But at the moment, it will start washing those tracks away. So it may be a bit more difficult to see any tracks. Also, you don't have much bird life around at the moment. The birds all be hiding in the trees. Bree, you want to know what you can expect to see while it is raining. So you can expect to see some water dripping from the sides of the canvas and rolling down and splashing in front of us. Bree, it's difficult to say. And like I said in the past and in my experience, the game viewing does become a bit tricky in rain or wet conditions. But the animals are still moving around. I'm just having a good look around this area to see if we can find Karula. If not, I'm going to head back to where I saw that Birmingham male and just see if that male has moved at all. You never know, you could possibly see some frogs starting to jump around and move around in the rain, possibly start calling. A lot of those little animals will start becoming quite active in the rain. And I think Karula gave us the slip this afternoon, and it was so nice to drive not far out of camp. We just had a little loop around quickly. We heard all the Impala alarm calling, but that was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and VM and I quickly drove out and we had a look and we found her and we watched her, followed her moving through the drainage line, and then she disappeared. So I thought maybe we're lucky and she'll go and lay close to the pan, that Galago pan. Well, she definitely went and drank there, but then she moved off. So I'm not sure where she headed off to. These drops are aimed perfectly in my direction. And sometimes the ponchos, they work in a way that they do kind of keep the rain out, but also once they let the rain in, they don't let it out. Okay, so I'm going to head back towards that area where we saw that Birmingham male, see if he's still lying out in the open. Let's head back to Stef in the tent.
I'm sure that lion will still be there. I don't think those lions have anywhere else much to go, to be quite honest. Now, while you were away with Byron, looking at the rain cover and driving down the road, James Richard asked if we could have a look at James's insect collection. And James, you're welcome to have a look at the insect collection. Let me go and see if I can stand over here. I'm just going to be pointing out some weird things to you. So we'll start top left and we'll work our way from left to right and then down. This is one of the biggest dragonflies that we get here. That is, in actual fact, the only two dragonflies, the tiger dragonfly and the blue emperor dragonfly that we get here. That is as large as they get. And for some scale, let me put my finger there so you can see it's about as long as your finger is. That's the largest dragonfly species that we find here. These interesting contraptions are bagworms. And the male and female bagworm, when they hatch, they start spinning a very strong silk, and then they stick bits and pieces of stick to it, and the female will live inside this bag her whole life. Eventually she will pupate and come out as a bagworm moth. The male, however, he comes out and he drags around his home looking for the females. Here we have some cicadas. That is a cicada. That's the largest cicada that we find here as well. And some other bugs. These are shield bugs. them. We call them stink bugs as well, because when you touch them, they can secrete a very stinky fluid. It gets all over your hands and doesn't smell too nice. This is an assassin bug. That one there, they have a big proboscis that can stick out the bottom, that sticks out the bottom of their heads. Excuse me, that's just a bit wayward, my pointer. Sticks out the bottom of their heads and injects a toxin that paralyzes and dissolves the tissues of the prey that it has. So nasty little guy that can give a nasty bite as well. Let's go down here to the beetle. This is the beetle similar to the one I found on the walk this afternoon. This is the wood borer beetle. Big, strong beetle. On the left-hand side of it is the regal fruit chafer with its brilliant iridescent colors and those wonderfully hooked clawed front feet that it grapples onto fruit with, holds onto the fruit and onto flowers, and then feeds on them. Here we have the largest dung beetle in this particular area. This is the flattened giant dung beetle. Beautiful dung beetle. Here we have one of the cantharidin beetles, or the ground beetles, able to exude a burning toxin that comes out of the joints in their feet called cantharidin, and some of them in the back end of their bodies, in the back of their abdomens, have two chambers which they can mix two chemicals together and spray out scalding hot steam and toxins into the face of a would-be predator. Here we have a fruit chafer, one of my most favorite of the beetles. The fruit chafers, there are two examples of two brilliantly different fruit chafers. That is the rose fruit chafer, and this one I'm not too sure what it is. Let's go down a little bit to some more dung beetles. This is a dung beetle that I only saw active this year. These dung beetles live in lion feces. They like lion feces, and so this year I figured that out by catching one quite close to a lion dropping, and didn't realize what I was doing until I held it, and my fingers were the most unbelievably smelly things I've had on a walk in a long time. Let's go across here and up a little bit. Here we have another very favorite group of beetles that I love. These are the jewel beetles, the buprestids. There's two examples of them. These beetles are the Toktoki beetles, or the tenebrionid beetles, and they get their name from the fact that they communicate with each other by bouncing this back part of their bodies on the ground, and they can communicate over quite substantial distances with one another. Males on males and males to females. They bash their bottoms on the floor. Coming down and left, I haven't really stuck to my let's start at the left and move over right, have I? Sorry, Viam. There we have the king cricket, or the corn crickets, very large cricket, nocturnal cricket, and these crickets follow around the birds called quilias, red-billed quilias. Can live in flocks here, a couple of million strong, and these crickets are quite common around them, where they feed on the droppings of the birds and also on the young birds themselves. How terrible a death would that be, being eaten by something that looks like it comes out of a science fiction movie? All right, why don't we go and have a look at a dung beetle clip that we've prepared for you, so that you can see what a dung beetle looks like, I suppose, in action. Let me go and do that for you. Go see what this looks like. Excuse us. All right. Just have a look at that. Patting the dung into a ball. I don't think there's enough dung here to actually make a ball big enough for this one's satisfaction. Hence this sort of frenzy. Let's see if I put his original ball close to him, if he'll utilize it. There he goes. Let's see. There we go. Now, Laura, you've asked me how do they get the dung or the egg inside the ball if they've already rolled it. Laura, they've got an ovipositor, although it's quite small, and I'm under the impression that they don't necessarily lay their egg in the center of the dung ball. I've got a feeling they lay it just on the outside of the dung ball, and when it hatches, the larvae digs to the middle of the dung ball and starts to eat the dung out from the center. So it's not necessarily that the egg is in the center. I think the egg is just on the outside or maybe just below the surface of the dung. The larvae then crawls into the middle of the dung and starts to feed. Now that's quite interesting. I gave this dung beetle the original dung ball that he was working on. I gave him that one, and he's now almost totally incorporated that dung ball into this one. Isn't that incredible? Wasn't that the most awesome clip that you've seen? That was such an exciting sighting, I must be honest with you. How many of you saw when that dung beetle was patting the dung into the ball? How many of you saw a tiny little dung beetle, many dozens of sizes, smaller than that plum-colored dung beetle, living inside the ball and making sure that they got inside the ball? Those tiny little dung beetles with the yellow elytra, the yellow wing covers, are called kleptocoprids. They actually utilize the work of the bigger dung beetle, and without rolling their own balls, they just live inside the bigger dung beetle's ball and get rolled to a place where they get buried, and they have their own eggs laid in other dung beetles' work. Isn't that incredible? That was a very, very nice clip. I must be honest with you, I quite enjoyed watching that. Well, Byron has eventually got back to that male lion, and before he gets drowned out, I'm going to go and see what he's up to.
So we're sitting with this beautiful male again. He's moved slightly, and he is out in the open. He got up and he just shook his mane, and all the water kind of shook off of him. And look at that beautiful view of him now. It's lovely, lovely pose. Thank goodness he is here, because otherwise I don't think we'd be seeing very much. I haven't seen any movement or heard anything else around. The wind is still blowing quite a bit. And this rain, which is wonderful. It's good to have this rain. Looks like this rain is settling in. Look at that mane blowing in the wind. I wonder what happened to the brother last night, and this also happens quite regularly. These males meet up for a day or two, they'll patrol an area, and then they'll split up, and then one male will go in one direction, another male in another direction, and see if there aren't any females around that they may potentially meet up with. And perhaps this male was looking for the Nkuhuma pride, but it doesn't look like he found them. Bit chilly at the moment, the wind blowing and the water, but that's part of being in the bush and part of a safari. See no birds calling at the moment at all. They all seem to be looking for shelter. And Teo, you're a new viewer. Welcome. It's great to have you on Safari Live. And you want to know, why is the lion in the open? Well, you know, these animals, a wild animal, it will lie where it wants to lie, and I think, you know, they do adapt to the particular weather that you are having, and they need to. I mean, they get used to rain coming and going, and it's just one of those things. Some of the other animals will look for a bit of shelter. But is there really a lot of shelter around it? Even where he was lying earlier, he was lying under the tree. He was still going to get wet there. So he's just moved a little bit, but he's not too happy about this rain. It doesn't look like it. Lying down, not moving too much. Pete, you want to know if the rain affects the lion's sense of smell? Yeah, definitely, Pete. I'm sure it does. Because what will happen is the rain will mask a lot of the scent of animals in the area and potentially just make it a lot harder for the lion to smell or pick up on the scent of anything. And what it also does, if animals like lions have scent marked in a certain area, after hard rains, that scent will dilute quite a bit and it won't be as strong. And a lot of the times after rains, these animals may move around and start scent marking a lot more again, just to maintain the boundaries of their territory, so that other animals know where they are and which area they are moving through. So Elizabeth, these four males that form the coalition, the Birmingham males, they do meet up occasionally. But what happens, and I've seen it in the past with other coalitions, I've seen males or coalitions of 5 lions moving through in an area together. Sorry, I just want to turn something down quickly. And those lions, what happened is, especially when they get a bit older, so we had 5 lions in a coalition, and as they became a bit older, their territory was very large and they patrolled the whole territory. They would meet up occasionally, but then what would happen is you'd have 2 split off and then 3 split off, and they basically patrol different parts of their territory and they stay within those areas. And I think that's kind of happened with these Birmingham males at the moment. Even though they do meet up occasionally, it sounds like, and from what I've seen being here, 2 males are dominant and really seen a lot around this area where we are, and the other 2 males seem to be a little bit further east. But that's not to say they won't meet up again. They will definitely meet up, and they do know that they're part of the same coalition and they are related. And what happens is it just helps them keep a broader outlook on their territory and keep out any potential threat or other predators moving in and trying to take over their territory. So they will definitely meet up, but then, and again, you might find 3 of them together and then 1 off on his own, or you find all 4 together, or you find 2 together, 1 on his own and another one in another area. It all varies. It varies constantly. As long as they're in their territory, they'll feel safe, and if they need each other, they will call and contact one another, and that will know exactly where they are, and they'll meet up again. So just like last night, we had these two together. The other brother was with him, and they were calling, roaring, probably trying to find where the other lions are, and the other brother most likely headed into the area where he thought they were, and this one headed back this direction to try and meet up with the females perhaps. We don't really know, but it does, those movements vary a lot. It's nice to sit with this male even though it is raining. Michael, you wanted to know if the lions have oils in their fur to help protect them from the rain. I don't know, Michael. I'm not sure. I've not been close enough to a lion to check. But I would assume that they have got some form of oily substance to kind of help the rain drip off a little bit. But when lions get wet, they get wet. It's not like that Waterbuck that we saw earlier that probably won't get as wet. You can see the rain dripping off his nose over there a little bit. Oh, that's a lovely view of him. Isn't that wonderful? But no, they will definitely still get wet.